Okay. Oh, are you guys excited about
Okay, she said they want to wait, they want to watch her feed a few times before determining if she needs an IV.
All right. So you guys. But one of the so there's a lot of skills, right? Going up and learning and then and then the other thing, okay, how many people are okay? So a little bit more, a fair number of people who are brand new. How many people that are past popcorn kernels have had somebody say, "Oh, my child, when you were at a show and scout, my child was interested in scouts. Do you know how to join a local unit?" Okay, so I mean that's about 10 people. Guys, when you're looking at your units, and I know COVID hit us hard with numbers and how many scouts we have in there, that's a great recruitment opportunity because you can have your scouts talk to other people who are interested, like other kids that they run into. Oh, we get to go to summer camp. Oh, we get to do this. We get to do the rain gutter regatta or the, whatever it is. It's a great recruitment opportunity. So think of popcorn. Yes, it's your fundraiser for scouting. Yes, it builds lots of leadership skills, but it's also recruitment. Don't forget that. Okay. Now, how to get started. So all of you is everybody here at Popcorn Kernel? Yes. Okay. All right. So you guys already started the hard part of the process, was figuring out who was going to be Popcorn Kernel. So if you have a big enough unit, getting a team underneath you is really helpful as well. Getting a group of people that you can rely on to help you through the popcorn really helps you get it together. Then you want to call and book show and sale locations. For those of you that were Popcorn 101, we talked more about that in depth. But for those of you that are, and that would be all the new kernels. The past kernels, you guys should have already started working on that. Register as a popcorn kernel on the Tectonica website. Please, 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 please make sure that you've registered as a unit. You have to register with the council code as a new unit every year, okay? Register the youth in the online sales. Sign up for the electronic knapsack and Tidewater Kernel Facebook page. The electronic knapsack is our district, thing that comes out that tells you everything that's going on in council, or not district council, everything that's going on in council. But a lot of our communication with our units is through the Popcorn Kernels page on Facebook. Please, 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 if you have not, at the end of this presentation, one of the last slides goes through who your district popcorn kernels are. If you're not on that Popcorn Kernels page and you have access to Facebook, get with your district kernel to get signed up for the popcorn page. We announced who they are. That's at the second to last slide, so I was waiting for that slide. Do you want me to do that now? Yeah, let's do it. Okay. So let's do it now. All right. So would all the district kernels stand? And I'm gonna start. Tony, why don't you start and we'll go around the room.
Tony Marchmarno, Princess Anne.
Woo!
Your guy.
Three Rivers.
Krista Dunn, just got recruited.
Bayside, Norfolk side of Bayside. Woo-hoo! I'm here in Alford, I'm the Virginia Beach side of Bayside.
That Allison's great over here.
And she is our everything computers and yeah. Yep, so she does everything, accounting, computers, kind of fixes, troubleshooting, anything that we have problems with, Allison is our go-to. And so she's amazing. We need her more than anybody. All right. So then on delivery dates, by the way, we'll have our first delivery date at the end of July, beginning of August. As it's a tractor trailer coming from the Midwest. So as it gets closer, we're going to be releasing that to all the units. But anybody that can help us offload that popcorn, and it is a lot of popcorn, and we love any help we can get. If you can come help offload it, you can also take your product that day. All right. And then the other thing is to go on to the council page. Don't know why I want to see district council page. Go to Popcorn 2022, and the popcorn guide is there. It has all the rules, specifications. If you have any questions about how Scout Boss works, there is a how-to guide in the back of it. Lots of fun stuff. All right, this is the important thing, deadlines. Now, first thing, you need to pre-order for your unit. Every year, not really sure why Pam does this to me. It's on my birthday, July 20th. Yay! So, not only do you need to be committed, which means you need to register in Scout Boss, but you need to put that first order in by July 20th. So now you'll all know my birthday. Yay! I know, that's coming up soon.
Man,
Yeah.
every year it comes so fast. I think, oh, we got all this time. And then all of a sudden, July 20th.
I know, every year that happens to me too.
Right? I'm like, hey, we're in June. I got plenty of time.
All right. Then, so you want to pre-order for your unit. That first order is July 20th. Then if you have extra units, extra product, you can go onto that Popcorn Kernels page and trade off with other units. So especially like those key three, the bigger ones, like the chocolate lovers and cheese lovers and those ones. If Hometown Heroes Trio and what have you, if you want to trade that off with other units, because maybe you end up left with it. A lot of other units at different times are looking for that product. All you have to do, go on there, post what you're trying to get rid of, or if you need something, go post what you need, see if another unit has it, and then both units email Allison, and Allison can actually trade that off in the computer system for you, and it doesn't count against you, okay? And then you want to supplement your stash between orders, and again, you can do that through trading through that Popcorn Kernels page. All right, so we talked about the July 20th. That is the first order deadline. Please, 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 please get your orders in. We will be going through the list and trying to reach out to everybody to make sure that they are committed and they get those orders in. Monday, August 22nd is our second order. The thing that's hard with that order is, we start selling around the 5th or 6th. So that's only, you're only selling for 2 weeks and that second order comes up hard and fast. What I would suggest you do is look at your sales from last year, see how you did in August, and kind of use that as a predictor for what you're going to need for that next order. Then our third order is Wednesday, September 21st. And our fourth order, which is the prepaid order. This is not one that you take and you return after. This is your last order is Tuesday, November 1st. This is for somebody's already given you the money for it. You've already pre-sold it and you're just picking up that product. All right, now, this was a problem that we did have with some units last year. I felt like the bad news bears or something. We do the thump test. If your product has chocolate in it, please, 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 please keep it in climate controlled areas. Please. May I use your bag for a minute? Okay, sorry. I literally did at the final return, and I think there were at least 6 people that I was like, I'm sorry, we can't take this back. I'm sorry, we can't take that back. I'm sorry, we can't take this back. What happens is, so right now, with your chocolate, when you hear it, it sounds all nice and moves around. When it gets conglomerated together, it goes boom. It is very easy to tell. Now, if you end up with that extra product, Pam has a plan for it. What do you do with the extra chocolate that gets conglomerated together?
You buy it.
And then you sprinkle it over ice
That works too.
cream.
So,
But yes, your unit has to literally eat it, and that we don't want.
yeah.
So I know personally, I have 2 units as a troop of boys and girls to try to limit the issues with space on houses and give more location sites for people to be able to pick up midweek if they need to. We're actually keeping the boys troops product in one and the girls troops product in another house in climate controlled spaces. Please, like a garage, typically not climate controlled. If you put chocolate in there, then I'm going to be telling you at the end of the season, I'm sorry, I can't take it back. Not only that, but you do not want to sell that to somebody.
Yeah, we've gotten some bad reports from some people that have gotten some melted product. And we just don't want to have to deal with that kind of customer service nightmare.
So if you're going out to the show and sale locations, the other thing to think about, if you've got chocolate product, you need to keep it climate controlled there. You know, so getting a good, getting a cooler with some ice or whatever you can use, even frozen water bottles at the bottom, just to keep it from melting. Frozen water bottles are nice because then they don't, ice kind of melts into it a little bit. Not that in the tins it's fine, but the frozen water bottles I kind of like a little bit better, just personal. But just think about that when you're going out for show and sales, that you're ready for that. All right, chocolate lovers is non-returnable. Now, again, with that, trade within the units. There were so many units at the end of the last season that needed chocolate lovers that didn't have it. And then other units are like, I can't get rid of my chocolate lovers. And we're like, did you put it out there? Because I know of, actually we coordinated, switches between units that were saying, I can't find a chocolate lovers anywhere. So do it in advance. Like, don't wait till the last minute. If you've got an extra one and you're not selling it, you might as well trade it off. Cheese lovers and classic trio are only returnable until the September 21st date. That's the third order, that third pickup. All other return and deadline is November 1st. There are no exceptions to that. Quick question for you. What happens to the popcorn that gets returned?
Council budget.
That's right. That is right. So it goes out for military donations. But a couple years ago, we had the problem where we had a lot of returns and we don't want that again. So we wanted to make sure everybody understood that when you return it back to us, we don't send it back to Texconco. We have to eat it, right? And that we don't want. So that that trading between units, that's why we're talking it up so much. It's really helpful. Okay, so these are the payment deadlines. So our first order, basically it's every 30 days, right? So before you pick up the next order, you got to pay the first order, right? So payment right before the second order, third order. But if you look at the dates, order pickup or September 10th, whichever comes first. Second order is third pickup or October 8th, whichever comes first, and third order is November 4th. Remember that fourth order is paid in full ahead of time. That's not something that you pay later. If you are having issues with inventory or payment, please contact your district kernels, and then we'll probably talk to Allison and see what's going on and see how we can abate those problems. But if you communicate with us, it helps us do our job better, because council does have to pay for these orders, right? And so we're not trying to be mean by saying we need our money, but they need their money.
So one thing I did want to mention is at the end of the year, y'all did a survey about things that were good about the sale, some things that were not so good. One of the things that was not so good is that you had to go ahead and make a payment before you could pick up the product. And usually there was 2 days in between, something like that. So you'd have to come up and then make a special trip also to pick up your popcorn. We sync those up together, okay? So that is really what she's saying. So when your order comes in, whoever's picking up your treasurer or your popcorn kernel, make sure you have the payment that day, okay? Because we need that payment in full before. So what you'll do is you'll go to the Scout store, you'll pay your invoice there, and then you'll come over and pick up your popcorn. Does that make sense? So we're trying to make it easy, just one stop to do everything, one date, okay?
But with that, please communicate with your treasurers about that as well. You know, because sometimes your popcorn kernel, I know in my units, my popcorn kernel never seems to be my treasurer. And then there's always that miscommunication, that mismatch of dates and who's doing what, when, where, why, how. So if you know popcorn pickup is coming up, make sure you're talking to your treasurer about that. Or, you know, if you come up here and nothing's been paid and you've got a big order, they're gonna say, we need payment. Basically what's gonna happen. Okay, prize submission deadlines. Your prize submission deadline is December 5th. All right, so all of your sales should be done by then. Everything should be good to go. You should have your online stuff, everything. Make sure you get that in by December 5th. Now, all donations are military donations. So, and that's the product that we talked about that goes out to the military at the end of the season. One thing to note about the military donations, all the donations being military donations, we cannot ask for donations at show and sales. If somebody offers a donation, that's one thing, but we are not allowed to solicit for money. We're just not allowed. But wait, there's more. So donations count towards your prizes. I know there was some confusion a few years ago, and then last year we said, no, the donations should count towards the prizes. So if your scout sells $600 and it has 150 in donations, they qualify for $750 worth of prizes. However, retail sales combined with donations submitted must match the value of the prizes requested. This is why it's so important to pay attention to your accounting logs and make sure that they're right. You know, so I know in my unit, we actually do, after show and sales, we do a 2 adult or 2 liter count of all the product to make sure that there's no confusion between it. And then we have very open accounting during the season to make sure that all the parents are aware of what their scouts sold to. Because the last thing you want is for little Josie or little Timmy or whoever to come up and say, I should have gotten a stock rocket. And they didn't get it, and it's because something was wrong in counting, you know, how you guys figured out the price. Because the parents pay close attention to that when it comes to the prizes that they want. I am so sorry. I did. On my phone here, on my watch here. Whoops. All right. So what are the prizes? So $50, just like every other year, is a patch. Yay! We recommend at $250 you guys find some sort of unit incentive. We do need to make one big caveat, and it has nothing to do with $250. You cannot use tying your leader in the face this year as a thing to do. It is considered striking. So
Actually, we did find a clarification on that.
okay.
That's not on the Via Scout yet, but there was one council that they went ahead and used one of the aluminum tins, and when they hit the leader, it cut their face.
Oh,
So
that's a hard hit.
yeah, well, you know, some of the kids are all excited, you know, they get to get an adult leader of their choice messy. But so if you're gonna do the pie in the face, there's nothing on Via Scout about it yet. There might be, but just use a paper plate, you know, that's easy enough. Or you can use silly string or something like that. But just be careful of those aluminum tins. You just don't want to name one of your leaders, you know. There you go.
That came,
unless you
I
don't
didn't
like
clarify
it.
that with you. I
Oh, you
apologize.
didn't? Yeah,
No,
I saw that
did
in the email, so I want to make sure I brought it
not.
up.
Okay.
Okay, so, you know, and this could be that $250 prize. It could be like a prize box. You could talk to your group and do like a little, you know, go to the Dollar Tree or go to Oriental Trading, put aside a little bit of money, and especially with the cubbies, they love picking things out of the prize box. It doesn't matter if it costs 2 cents, they love it. They think it's great. Treasure box, right? $400 is a Cinema Cafe movie ticket. $750 is the foam dart blaster. $1,000, we recommend another unit incentive. That's up to you guys. I know that like the pack my son was a part of when he was a cubby, that was when the dues were free, was $1,000. This
We'll have
year,
Chris talk about his after you're done with this.
okay.
Yeah.
Then we've got $1,250 is the $35 Amazon gift card, $1,700 is the $50 Amazon gift card. $2,500 is the $200 Amazon gift card, Best Buy, or those select prizes. There's some pretty cool stuff on there. Like the AirPods this year, for some reason, like my son is now a middle schooler, he's in scouting, and he loves AirPods. He just thinks they're the coolest things since sliced bread. And each additional $2,500 amount gets another $200 gift card or prize. So they aren't just done at $2,500. If they get to 5,000, they get another big prize, which is pretty awesome. 7,500. So Chris wanted to. Over here.
You want to come up?
sorry.
You want to come up here? I can see you.
All right.
We have a special guest speaker. There you
The
go.
next slide.
I'm Chris Hillman. I'm with PAC 700. I'm the committee chair and a core for the unit, and this is my second year as a here just to add on to the discussion about incentives, and particularly those incentives that you can provide to from your unit, from your troop or your PAC or your whichever your unit may be. If you're in the room, you're looking at a black and white printout of what's on the screen for the folks participating in Zoom. And there's a couple of things to think about, offering some experience for the new kernels for for how you might set up your incentives. Council does a great job providing incentives. And like Erin said, you do want to find those wedge incentives to offer your unit. What we wanted to do is think about who benefits and who pays. Those are two important questions, right? When you think about who benefits, me as a parent, I care that my kid's registration fees are paid. I don't care that he gets a stop line. I don't care. In fact, I'd rather he not have that.
Thank you.
However, so yeah, but my son doesn't care who pays for scouting. He doesn't, right? So it's important to both benefit the parents that would probably shell money out of pocket to have their kids participate in this great program, and also the kids for the work that they're doing, standing out in front of Walmart or Lowe's or whatever store, selling popcorn in the heat of summer and maybe even in the cold of early winter. So something to think about there. Who benefits? And then who pays? It was important in our unit to show this in a consolidated way. Where is this prize coming from? So we can see not just what the council has put out and kind of your path to the winner's circle, the $2,500 prize, but you can also see where those wedges are, those prizes that we're offering. If you're looking at this saying, man, I don't have the skill in PowerPoint or Word, it's posted on the Facebook page. It's fully editable. I put it on Word. It's a Word document. It's on Facebook. So that's a plug to go into the Tidewater Council Popcorn Kernel Facebook page, and you can maybe find this document yourself.
I've already rehacked it.
Yeah, it's
Thank
easy.
you, Chris.
It was easy, right?
Thanks.
All right. So a couple of other considerations. The popcorn kernel should be, if they're not the treasurer, like it may happen in some units. As popcorn kernels, you should be tied with the planning process, with budgeting, and with the PAC treasurer, or I'm sorry, the unit treasurer. Why? Those prizes can cost money. Yeah, pie in the face is pretty close to free. We offer an ice bucket challenge to the popcorn kernel for the for kids that sell over $2,000 worth of popcorn. Kind of gets them at the threshold of the $2,500 prize, right? So those are relatively free, but when we're talking about grab bag items, like pick a scout item, like a little flashlight or like a dry bag, it costs a little bit, but you got to factor in the profit margin, and it has to pay for itself. Is the way to think. Also, when we happen to sync up as PAC 700, it costs about $700 of popcorn sales to pay for the program. So that's a nice way for us to kind of say, if you earn this amount for our unit, okay, that's the price for the parents, right? No surprises. Over that, a great option for us, I've got Cubs, right? So we're all familiar with that cartoon of like Snoopy leading the Woodstocks, and that's Cub Scouting. And the Boy Scout programs, the older youth have the Woodstocks and the Snoopy trailing behind. Cubs don't get to have a lot of choices in the activities that they do, right? So what we do in our unit is we call it a PAC reach event. And we say, hey, here's a ballot of really good options: carrots, peas, broccoli. They're all good choices. I want you to have any one of them. Pick. And then they have democratically decided what it is that they want to do. But when we say it's a good option, we're just putting like $10 to $15 participation, like going to the trampoline parks, maybe $15. Okay, that's fine. That's cool. But we've placed it on there, good options for them, and they have the value of picking that. So that's a great option for your younger scouts. Again, it's over that registration fee, so you got to pay for it, but you're accounting for it because it's over those registration fees. Also, what was important to us is that everyone was invited to it. If you went and you had sold in our unit, it's over $1,000. That kid goes free. But anyone can go. They can pay in and pay $15 out of pocket. That's okay. We had summer day camp up there. You know, take a look at your program, see if that's something that you can offer on the price point. But again, it's got to pay for itself. If you've got any questions, I'm happy to hang out here. And again, the Word document is online. It's on the Facebook page. So there's your second one. Thanks.
At the troop level for my units, because we have a boys and a girls side of our unit, we figured out that about $2,500 first got, if they sell about $2,500 popcorn, that not only takes care of their 10 campouts during the year and the programming costs for all that, it also takes care of their summer camp, which if you are at the troop level, you're talking about $400 or more for summer camp. So we just had our popcorn meeting with my units last weekend, and we did a taste test and things like that. But we started with the parents. The scouts were in a meeting and they came in later, and we said, do you want to, because paying out of pocket, it was just under 1,000 last year. This year, because of costs going up, probably be closer to 1,200. So we said, look, if you sell $2,500 in popcorn, you don't have to come out of pocket for all those other expenses. So that is a really good way to position it to your units and to get the parent buy-in. Because he's right, parent buy-in is more important than kid buy-in in a lot of these.
Yeah.
All right. So if a scout sells, receives donations equaling 10,000, they'll get the lower tiered prizes. All 4 of the $200 gift cards are winner circle prizes. So that's something to think about. Like I was saying, you know, the 2,500, then 5,000. You know, you can keep getting those prizes as you go along. It doesn't just stop at the big prize.
Can I talk about this one real quick?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm gonna come up front. My little journey. Okay, so this year we got some really cool stuff going on. When we met with Pecatonica last year, we had to freeze our product line because of COVID. They weren't gonna do any changes for it. I really wanted to mix it up a little bit and get some new stuff out there. We were lucky to get the 12 items we did last year, because a lot of units that came in last minute got 6. So, I mean, we really were good. This year, when we went into negotiations with them, we looked at our lowest selling items. One of them was the sea salt light. I like sea salt light, so I had to see that one go bye-bye. Trail mix, we didn't have any options with that. They wanted to go ahead and get Cajun Crunch in for that one, and that's kind of like a Chex Mix. I tried it. It's spicy. It's spicy. So if anybody likes spicy, that would be a good one for them. This is, you know, we're gonna try this one out and see how that one works. We've never done this one before. The other thing that we wanted to do is we wanted to try something totally new, and I wanted something at the $15 price point, because remember, peanut butter was 15 and then it went up to 25 and kind of had a gap in there. So this year, mint chocolate chip is going in at 15. And I'm telling you what, that is a rocking piece, or that's rocking. I love that. Anyway, all right. So that is really good. I wanted to go ahead and do a sample, but that is in your sample box. So make sure you get a piece of that. The owner, when we tried it originally, some of the chocolate chips were kind of falling off, but I don't care. We devoured it. It was still good anyway. He initially said, we don't want to offer it. It's not right. It doesn't look right. And he's very much professional and wants to make sure he's giving a good product out. I'm like, please, love mint chocolate chips. We just get something in there. And so he said, well, if I just need to make this for your council, I will do it. So Mint chocolate chip is a Tidewater exclusive. No other council in the country is getting that, okay? We are a test council for them. So that means if we sell a lot of it, they'll offer it probably to the nation. We did so well last year. You know, we were hoping to do around 750. We did 956,000 in sales. They took notice of us and now we have a little bit of say in what's being offered. That being said, another cool thing is we're having a competition. Buffalo Ranch versus where's jalapeno this year. Okay, the winner of this, as far as our sales goes, will indicate whether or not Pecatonica wants to offer Buffalo Ranch next year or jalapeno. Okay. That being said, at the very end of this training, you are doing a taste test over there. Remember the Pepsi and the Coke challenge for those of you who are older? Okay.
More to
Thank you very much. I love you over there. Okay. So when you guys get ready to go, take a couple of each, test them, and then we want to go ahead and write down what your pick is. The one on the left is number 1, the one on the right is number 2. Okay. For those of you online, I apologize, but you're
It's in your
online, so you
sample
snooze,
kit.
you lose. Okay.
It's in the sample kit you can come pick up.
Yeah, it's in the sample kit. So if you do a party with your unit, which I'm really hoping you do, please get a vibe from them, which one they like, and please give us feedback. Give your district colonels feedback. I really want to be able to give Pecatonica a good pulse on that, because if we're selling jalapeno, or say for instance, you're selling a lot of Buffalo Ranch, but the people aren't really liking it, we don't really want to offer that next year, but we really don't know once they walk away with it if they're liking it. So I'd like your units to try it out. So once again, for a popcorn party. So 2 big ones this year, PG Crunch, Buffalo Ranch. This, they're not going to find anyplace else. And I hope you sell a lot of it. So there you go. Oh, and I did do one other thing too. I have to say this, what? Yes, okay, so on your order forms, you see it. A lot of people have been talking about, you know, inflation. How's that going to affect us? We could have gone ahead and changed the prices on everything. So like the $10 plastic was $11. We realized that was going to cut back on your sales. So instead of just having an easy $10, they don't have 11, you lose a sale. So there are key products that we went ahead and bumped up while keeping everything else the same. How many of you guys sold the caramel with sea salt? How many of you, was it a good seller for you?
Yeah.
Okay, that's one of them we're hitting. Okay, so instead of it being 20, it's 25. We're hoping with the amount that we did last year, we can help offset the cost. The other thing that we're doing is your top 3, your trio, your cheese lovers, your chocolate lovers are just gonna go up $5 extra. Some of the other people, you know, if they buy it, they might go, wow, that's a lot of money. It's still cheaper than a lot of councils right now. A lot of the other councils for the chocolate lovers are doing $60 for the chocolate lovers. So that's the price increase. The other thing is, I talked to Pecatonica. I wanted another prize for you guys, okay? We did so well. We're being a test market for them for some of these products. I said, hey, can we go ahead and get an Oculus for the top selling person? And they said, well, how much is that? And I'm like, it's cost $300. So it's whatever the $300 one is the one we're trying to get. And they said, yeah, we can do that. So the top selling scout in the district, or I should say in the council, is going to get an Oculus. I asked Jamie, hey, listen, can we get an Oculus for the top selling scout in each district? So council is purchasing 3 more. So each district will be getting an Oculus for your top selling scout. So there is a little bit of a caveat beyond that, and I'm going to go ahead and throw it back over to you as to how you get your scout qualified for that.
Yeah, so it's the Oculus Quest, it's the $300 one.
Is it a Quest? Okay.
Okay, so what's new this year? So we talked about the trio and cheese lovers are returnable again until September 21st. There are some new ones. We talked about the new lineup. The other thing that Pam didn't mention is we were also trying to keep the profit share the same for the units. So money going back to the units, we still wanted to keep it at 40%. So if we didn't increase the prices, it would have hit the unit's bottom line, right? Money needed to come from somewhere because prices were going up. So that was one of the goals, was not to hit the unit's bottom line. So when you see those things, that was a big, we spent a lot of time, the district popcorn kernels and Pam and Allison having powwows about how we could do this. We spent many hours at a Panera Bread figuring that out to try to make sure that we weren't hitting the unit's bottom line. Okay, so please keep that in mind when you're thinking about those prices having some increases. Some products that are no longer available: sea salt light and trail mix, which I was very sad about. Trail mix to create Cajun crunch. If you have any, like I know a lot of our scouts, the older scouts, they love spicy things. We like spicy things. Now, Virginia, all of the lows in council, we are managing in the past, for on the district kernels are managing. In the past, we have had issues where people have signed up for lows and other units have come in, and there's been arguments and fights over who gets the unit when, and a lot of confusion. We wanted to take that away from everybody. So each of the unit kernels went through and we set up the different Lowe's locations. So like mine is in Bayside, it's Lowe's on Military Highway. Okay. And each unit for the first round of sign-up, each one of your units can choose 2 half-day slots. And it's a sign-up genius that we will be sending out. Okay. So just so you know how that's going to work out, it's going to be, you're going to be able to go on the sign-up genius, and this is just the first round, and then we'll see what we have left over and go from there. But for the first round, to give everybody an equal chance at Lowe's and not have anybody fighting, arguing, and getting upset, we did 2 half-day spots. But one thing I do want to bring up, just because, you know, I mean, it was a Lowe's problem, right? But it's not just Lowe's that has that problem. If another unit, if you and another unit end up at the same location, maybe you talk to manager X and you talk to manager Y. First of all, when you're setting up show and sales, get some sort of paper trail showing that you have those dates. Bring it with you to the show and sale, or have somebody bring it with them to the show and sale, because whoever signed up first really should be the person who has that location, right? But a scout is helpful, and a scout is courteous, and a scout is kind. And yes, we mimic all these things to our scouts all the time, and we want them to do what we want them to do. I don't know, I do it at home too with my kid. He's like, yes, mom. But that being said, if a scout is helpful, courteous, kind, obedient, you know, all those things. When we are having that sort of issue, if somebody starts to get upset, it is not worth fighting over. Step back, be the bigger person. There are other locations out there. You know, if you've got the proof that you were first, then you should be. But if nobody has proof and 2 people are there, we don't want to put off the image that we're fighting in front of a grocery store. Right? That's not very scout-like.
One of the things, you know, ideally you have a paper trail. And if you sign up in March with this person, no matter if it's the assistant manager or the, you know, store manager, and I've got a different date later, you would get rights to it first. Ideally, what we'd like to do, you know, if you don't, if neither one has a paper trail on it, split the day. You know, I know there's gonna be some scouts that miss out on it, but maybe you can get more scouts in, you know, the 2 hours or whatever. And that way you both benefit, but it's all about optics. It's all about that manager seeing people battle up front. He's like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is just bad, right? Right? So,
Scout off or we try to build a fire.
but I mean, just, it's all about optics, and there's a lot of places who would rather not have us out there than have us there, because we're just an extra thing on their list of things to do. So let's just be kind and try to work it out. Okay.
Well, and the other thing to think about, I know that for my units, right, and I'm sure for all of your units, we're all dealing with the same thing. A lot of places post-COVID don't want the show and sale. So why would we put in jeopardy any place that we do have by causing an issue?
And let me say one other thing too. So the Lowe's, you know, there's a reason why we decided to take all the Lowe's and try to divvy them out. Last year with COVID happening, I saw that it was gonna be really, really hard for the units to get out there and sell. I got a lot of locations with, you know, to a lot of managers and said, hey, can we sell got a whole bunch of dates, and as we needed to get units out, I was handing them out, okay? So this year, not being so much of a COVID year, this is the year for you guys to fly, spread your wings and fly, find your locations. Don't expect council to have them. We have the lows, it's limited, okay? We would like to do more, but we want to teach you guys how to do it, because there is, and one of the things I like about Krista, and she's Plan's district colonel, is she was coming out with the craziest ideas of location. And I'm like, you go for it, see if you can get it, and she would, and she'd make a lot of money there. I don't want to go ahead and limit you guys as far as where you find locations. You guys have great, heads on your shoulders. So now's the time to spread your wings and fly and get those locations too. Make available spots for your parents. Does that make
Krista,
sense?
do you want to share a crazy location you had?
Car dealerships, 6 o'clock in the morning, oil changes.
There you go.
I know.
I would never have thought about that,
I would
right?
Our troop did one at a 7-Eleven. And we talked to the manager and he said the time that you want to sell here is between 11 to 2. That's when the most foot traffic comes through.
Wawas, by the way, are not allowing sales right now. I tried to get some for council and corporate wide, they are not allowing sales up front. So just so you know.
I was wondering, is there any limitations, like, not from us, but from, like city property, like parks or boardwalk, that? Do you need a permit spot?
Yeah, I would definitely say, I would, with the boardwalk, with any kind of business in that, you would have to find out if they can give permission to somebody to sell out front, or if you need to go through a property manager. I've got some dates at BJ's last year, but I had to go through the property manager. So, not to say you can't, but you might have to jump through a few hoops to get to the right people and get it in writing, just to make sure, okay, because we don't want to get anybody in trouble.
And we've done, actually, we're gonna do it again. We do farmers markets too. So, that is also a good place. They let us set up a little table. They didn't charge us anything. We just got in touch with the person who runs the farmers. All right, dates will be released on the Popcorn webpage and Facebook groups on July 13th at 6 p.m. I am going, so it says unclaimed spots will be released on July 19th. We're actually still discussing that. So are we still gonna release them all July 19th?
We're gonna release them, but we just don't know how we're gonna do it yet. It depends how many people sign up on the 13th and through that week and get, their 2 slots. If we have a lot of extra spots, if we're gonna go ahead and just keep it district-wide, or if we're gonna open it up. This is one of these things, I'm sorry for the lateness on it, but it just all depends on how all the chips fall, and as to what we can offer. I'd like it to be equal opportunity for everybody so they can experience the lows and get good sales, but, we just don't know if it's going to be more, this district is, doing the slows or if we're gonna allow people to go over district lines. Now, at the last training, I said, yeah, because some people are closer to a Chesapeake location than a Bayside or vice versa. But we're just gonna have to kind of see what happens. We'll let you know as soon as we figure that out. We're probably gonna have to meet on that. So.
Yeah, and what we're gonna do is look at what slots are available per district. And then tally that up and decide based on how many units we have selling in each district and how many slots are still available. We're gonna have a powwow and talk about it and discuss it and decide what's next. So it will be July 19th. We just don't know when the way it is. Yeah.
So the way you're gonna have to sign up on Facebook.
We're gonna release it through Facebook, but it's a sign up genius link.
So
Okay.
make
You
sure
can
you know
only
your
sign up with-
district. You gotta know what your district is. So if you're Bayside, you will click on the Bayside link and it'll bring you to Lowe's Military Highway, okay? So those of you that are kind of new in your council or in your unit colonel thing, make sure you know your district, okay?
But it is only 2 half-day sites.
Yeah.
Okay, and you want to make sure, by the way, if you sign up for a load, and let's say something happens and you cannot man it, your unit cannot man it, please let your district colonel know, or at least delete that slot, so that way the slot then becomes available, because there is a way to DX mark and delete any slot that you selected. All right, and to go over something with, if you have show and sale locations that are unmanned and you know you can't man them, put them on the Popcorn Kernels group if you see Pam or myself or Tony or Rudy, or Beth, when we release them, we usually don't put the location, and it's just because we don't want people like nitpicking on location. We'll just say, hey, we have a good location today from blah, 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 to blah, blah, blah. Anybody available? Let's not leave those unmanned. There are lots of units that have had a hard time getting locations. So let's share when we don't have that, right?
Let me ask you guys, so when somebody comes to you and says, hey, would you like this location? How far in advance do you need that from your parents to be able to get that whole slot or the whole half day or whatever, man? 2 weeks, okay.
Might depend.
Yeah. we
Some
can
parents
get
are ready to go in and
it.
early, some may need
We are not that organized. Yeah, we're talking big for us.
3 days for us.
I'm
So
just
we
saying
have
to get a full
60,
6 hour
70 backups. So
I was gonna say, we got from Pam's unit, we got a day at a Freedom shooting range. And we got it the night before and we manned it for the whole day. And the
Yeah.
sales
I
were
was planning out
phenomenal.
locations 2 weeks in advance, because I could tell them we weren't gonna be able to fill them, I wouldn't get people to travel. It was Mahalo, so.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, if you sign up for a slot and you can't make it, like you see that your parents are just not doing it, right? What would be an adequate time frame? Because what we don't want to do is for it to go empty and the unit come back and say, hey, we couldn't fill it, we have another date. I'm sorry. That was your date, you needed to man it. But that being said, do we go ahead, you need to cancel it like a week in advance kind of thing? Is that adequate time? I know you were saying 2 weeks, but maybe we can find something kind of in the middle.
Yeah,
Maybe the
I'm
week
just saying, I
would
know
be
that when
good.
we knew we couldn't man it anymore, I put it out 2 weeks before we would hit it, and I could not fill.
Okay,
I get 1 or 2 units that will reply back, but I could usually get them for half day.
okay.
I'll give you my number.
I don't have, that's not my problem.
Okay, so for right now, let's go with a, 2 weeks out, make sure you got everybody signed up. If a week ahead of time, please alert a district colonel, please put it up on Facebook, okay? And please fill your slots, because like I said, it's limited. And if you don't fill them up, I don't know if we're gonna have other opportunities for you to sell it a little. So, does that sound fair enough? Okay. Six p.m. tomorrow.
Can I ask, so while we're talking about Lowe's, and we
Yes.
get 2 half days, the question is, I've never sold there. I have no idea how much we're gonna sell.
Right.
So I don't wanna cut my unit short. So can you guys give us an idea?
I would have at least $600 to $1,000 worth of product on hand.
Depends on the day, depends on the
I
level.
would, you might even wanna go as high as 1,500 to 1,800.
In
especially during the
August, you're
summer.
gonna sell a
Yeah.
lot
You sell
of
big in the
popcorn.
first couple of weeks, and then on Labor Day, do about $2,000. That would be for a full day, but we were only doing 8 hours, so 6 hours would be about the same.
Yeah, now, what's great to do is, in my unit, we go ahead and we check with the shift ahead of us on inventory. And we've got like a house that we can go pick up popcorn from. Or you've got somebody who's a designated runner for that day that can run popcorn out. But it's always good, like say, for instance, you've got a 2 to 4 shift and I'm behind you. I call you and say, how are you doing on stuff? Do you need me to pick up something? So you can keep supplementing that, but make sure when you get these Lowe's dates, you've got a ton of popcorn on you. Okay?
And the other thing too, when you're talking about that, because of the amount of popcorn that needs to go to the site, I've already talked to my parents about it this week. I have a small SUV. When you're trying to supplement $600 to $800 or $1,000 worth of popcorn, it does not fit in my small SUV. Even if I put the seats down, even if I got the thing stacked all over the place. So I've already I already said to my parents, if you have a minivan or a truck that can hold a lot of product, please let us know. And if you can help out by maybe being the first shift, that would really help us, right? If you ask, if you solicit for those type of, that help, you'll get parents who will help you with it. And you get to know who will help you too, right? Everybody knows their parents.
Tom, you said 600 to 800, but somebody said 1,500 to 1,800. This was for the whole Lowe's.
He was
half
saying for
day.
the full day, 1,500. We usually stock, I was saying 600 to 800, but I think we usually bring about $1,000 worth of product for a half day.
Okay. And on those Lowe's days, talking about staffing and having enough people, I know we had talked about having 2 scouts there with 2 parents. But if you can only have 1 scout there, and then in another hour or 2, you got another 1 scout. Is 1 scout at a time? Okay, you always have to have 2?
You know, with the troops is kind of different. Troop level, I have let, them do it for one.
So
with
the-
parent.
I think you're probably talking about from the one-on-one training, and the idea is, what, at Cub Scouts, they always gotta go to the bathroom, right, half hour into it. So you can't, if you have one scout and one parent, that's okay, because it's the kid's parent, but once they leave the table, now you got money and product sitting there free, so.
Yeah.
We, at the pack level, we always did 2 parents, so that one kid could always go off and do what he needs to do, and
Okay.
you still got somebody manning the table, but for the older kids, no, it's.
And also, the main thing with these show and tells is safety for the kids, okay? When they're pretty much bare and under and you're at a Lowe's, you want to make sure that somebody's escorting them back to the back. You know, when they get in the upper ranges and they can get back and forth, that's to your discretion. But just make sure that they're not being lost in the store, and, you know, you just want to make sure you're safe with them, okay? I can't stress that enough.
Any questions you guys have about ordering and inventory and how much should I get for the show and sale? Your district kernels are gonna be awesome resources, whether it's Lowe's or whether it's another location. Every one of them has experience working with a unit as well. So definitely, if you have any questions, let us know.
And I will say that, if you have concerns about your first order, we can go on the district site and see what you guys did for sales last year. So we can look at the selling season of last year and tell you, okay, so this is what you sold last year. This was your first order, your second order, whatever. We give you a snapshot of the overview of everything you sold. Like, I know my unit this year, or units, because it's a boys and a girls unit, we're going top heavy in the beginning. We want to try to sell as much as we can in August. That's our
I
goal.
do want to mention something real quick. So last year, going into a full-blown COVID year, we didn't know exactly what we were going to hit. Council was very conservative as far as what they had as inventory here. So we're units. And they hit that first weekend and they were blowing through popcorn, right, Andrew? I mean, it was crazy what you guys are going through. And then they come knocking back at us and go, do you have any popcorn? Yeah, we're gonna have popcorn this year. I asked Allison to have a little more than we did last year, but the key is, when you go ahead and you check out that initial popcorn, just know that you need to go ahead and pay on that invoice in 30 days. So if you're sitting on extra money right now, a lot for that now, because if you hit 2 weekends where you got rain, your bill's still gonna be due, okay? And I hate to say that, but we have got a bill to pay, and just consider like a credit card kind of thing. On the flip side, we will be having more inventory here, but that doesn't mean go conservative, because I will guarantee you in August, that will be your biggest selling month.
Well,
I
and
tracked it, and it's huge.
And remember, you can trade out. So if you got
You can
extra
trade.
product.
Yeah.
And then say, you know, Andrew's unit, we're just picking on him today, gets, you know, needs product, you can put it out there, hey, I have a lot of extra product. Anybody need product right now? That's a way to take care of it.
Andrew was the second largest selling one.
So Rudy keeps putting his hand up and I.
Oh, no, a couple things I wanted to throw over on the topic. So I know we mentioned signups by district. So Three Rivers is interesting in that there's 3 Lowe's in there. So we want to make sure that units in Three Rivers, when you sign up for your 2 half days, you're doing it at a Lowe's. That doesn't mean go to all 3 and sign up for 2 half days. I just want to clarify that for our district, because it's unique that way. We are allowing them to sign up for a day as their 2 half days. They just want to do a day.
Yeah.
I know sometimes that works better for units to plan. I'm going to plan for this Saturday, so that's not off the table. I don't think you have to sign for. I'm going to do half day and half day. And then the third thing, if you do sign up, and for some reason you can't delete it, because I know that was kind of I've seen that sign up genius before. Go to the owner of the sign up, which is the district kernel. We can go in there and actually change it. So if you let us know, we can delete it. So
Yeah, and I think, so, are you setting it up for? Three
I
Rivers?
have the West Chesapeake Lowe's. That's the one way out Western Branch.
Well, no, I mean, are you the sign up genius owner?
For that one, and then Beth's got the other 2 for Portsmouth Lowe's,
it should
which
have
is
the
at
name
Victory
on it,
Crossing. So
so.
for those that think Portsmouth Lowe's is the one on Portsmouth Boulevard way out Western Branch, that's actually the West Chesapeake Lowe's, so don't get confused. Portsmouth Lowe's is at Victory Crossing, and then the Battlefield one, Beth's got those signups.
And then I did the sign up for Bayside. Tony, did you do the one for
Holland and,
Virginia?
Virginia Beach Boulevard.
So we're the only district that don't have them.
So if you delete off, you know, for some reason, like a week ahead of time or whatever, just as a fail safe, contact your
There's
district
three Lowe's in
kernel, so we can go ahead. You know, a lot of times, like I get calls or Tony gets calls that, hey, I need a location for this weekend. And if you've got to cancel for some reason, we can call that unit and get them out there. So we're willing to help out with that.
Would it be a good idea if you have to cancel, if we kind of agree, kind of, if we can put it on the Facebook page, so people are aware of it.
That's great if we can do that too. And then if you can't change it on the sign up, get up with your district kernel and just swap it out that way. Whatever's the easiest, we're here to help, you know? We just don't want it sitting empty. It's just too
That's what I'm
valuable.
thinking, maybe because of the Facebook page.
And it has, and that works really, really great. So please sign up for Facebook if you've not.
Okay, so, once again, you can return up to 10% of your total retail checkout. Anything over 10% has a 20% restocking fee. That will be added to the invoice at the end. This is again why we're saying, use the Facebook page, exchange that product, so that way you don't have that restocking fee at the end. We don't want anybody ending up with fees for no reason, right? But that's our way, by the way. The reason that we started this last year was because of the, I told you 2 years ago, we were in mountains of popcorn at the end. And council ended up with a lot of leftover popcorn and we ended up selling it, luckily, you know, the stuff that we needed to. But it took a lot to get that done.
2 years ago was the first initial lockdown of COVID, though. and I don't know how much stuff.
Well, no, I'm sorry. It was technically the end of 3 years ago, wasn't it?
It was 2020.
It-
I
but it-
remember because it's the first year I was back.
Oh, was it? Okay.
And we had all the returns at the end. and then-
Extenuating circumstances.
Yeah.
For that, that's.
Well, 2020, if you remember, popcorn season was over when COVID hit.
Yeah, hit March.
Yeah, so popcorn season was already over. So we had popcorn
2020 was, and that would be.
It
because
was,
our popcorn season starts in 2019.
it's an issue that predated 2020 though. There've been
2020 was
several
the worst year.
years going back, you know, at least a decade where the council ended up with extra that could not be, we didn't have the money to donate it to the military. And we just had to pay for it. And we don't want the council paying for that. We want council paying for the program and the camp and all the things that are gonna benefit the kids
Well,
instead.
And the other discussion that came up that we've worked really hard to not have happen is, they said, if we're getting this much product back, then maybe we need to bring down the amount that's going back to the units if we're gonna have to keep these funds. We don't want less money going back to the units. We want everybody, and by the way, our council is one of the highest profit margins. Getting that 40% is higher than a lot of other councils.
I think
We are the highest. yes.
But you know what? Last year you guys totally earned it. Okay.
Yep.
And every year we will have to re-earn it. Okay. But that money goes to help repair for PepsiCo. It goes to a lot of different things. For some of you have gone up to PepsiCo recently, you see some of the stuff going on. That's popcorn money that you guys have worked for, that you're helping your council camp. But every year we've got to go ahead and re-earn that 40%. Last year, you all worked so well together, or your unit colonel ahead of you worked so well that all of our returns, which were very small, went off in donations to the military. We didn't have any extra popcorn left. You guys did a fabulous job. So that is our goal again this year, because we don't want to have to revisit it. We've got so much coming back in that we have to lower commissions, because I want you guys to have the most you guys can get in your unit.
So I think we need to give the units a round of applause.
Yes,
for
we
that
do.
one.
All right.
But
Can you explain how it works when you're transferring product between
Okay,
units?
so, right, so what you wanna do is whoever is the 2 units that are transferring, you both wanna send an email to Allison Harrison. And both of them. So let's say Andrew and I are transferring product. I'm gonna send an email to Allison saying, my unit troop, is transferring to his pack. Unit, And he's also gonna send the same email. The reason we want it to come from both units is we want to have verification that both units are okay with it, right? So we don't want, and not that I would do this, right? But we don't want me saying, oh, I'm transferring this product, and Andrew hasn't said the same thing, and then there's a problem down the line. So that's why we ask for both units to email Allison, and then Allison does it in the computer. So you don't have to worry about the money side of things, you just transfer the product.
Does everybody know where the popcorn book is online on the Tidewater Council page? Does anybody not know where that? Right, exactly. That, where you go to get that book, there's a link for transfers there. You just click on that and then you enter the information. and it goes to her.
Yeah, so that'll open up a special email address through our help desk ticketing system, so we make sure that none of your emails
It's a nice
get
little
lost
addition.
in
That is nice.
any of my other emails, so I don't forget about you.
So if you go to allison.harrison@scouting.org, there's a chance it might get lost in her, what, million emails over there?
If Pam's been busy.
So make sure you click on that link.
Yes.
Okay.
To answer your other question, that should be when you are logged into your Scout Boss account. If you go under files, you should be able to see that, and also some other items like door hangers that you can print yourself if you are interested in investing in that.
Can we post that link on the Facebook page? Because I have no idea where you guys are.
Yes, we will do that.
All right. So it says, and we already talked about this at nauseam, the Tidewater Council is not able to return product to Tectonica. So in order to keep it at 40%, that's why we're doing this. All right. If invoices are past due, the unit will not be able to receive prizes, order additional product, or pick up additional product. Past due invoices are subject to late fees. All right. That's on page 14 of the popcorn guide. But if you are having a problem, please reach out to your district colonel. Let them know what the situation is. We'll talk to Allison and Pam for guidance and go from there. But wait, there's a bonus incentive for scouts this year.
I'm really surprised.
And I know about this.
Sorry, I screwed it up.
Pam already talked about the Oculus Quest. So the top seller in each district will get one, which is super exciting. I don't know how many of your scouts have it. It is actually pretty cool if you've ever been in it. I don't know. I did the Van Gogh exhibit. No, well, I did the Van Gogh exhibit in it, and it's like
If you've ever been in altered reality.
totally immersive. Like you're like, oh, there's Van Gogh everywhere. I didn't know what I was doing besides for walking in circles because I am not that good with that stuff. But that was cool. All right. Are all scouts eligible for a district grand prize? Yes. However, your unit must be paid in full by November 1st. Please, please, please remember, November 1st. That is your returns. That is your payment. Everything. Make sure your treasurers know that. November 1st needs to be in, all right, by 5 p.m. So I would hate to see, this could be the worst case scenario. Little Erin is a top seller, and my treasurer doesn't pay, and now little Erin doesn't get the Oculus, even though she sold $10,000 worth of popcorn. That was really, that's what I don't want. That's right.
If you are making a return on November 1st and you don't know what your invoice is going to be and you're not the treasurer, we strongly recommend that you make a deposit in your Scout Shop account. And then when you make your return, tell your treasurer to call the Scout Shop and tell them how much to transfer to popcorn. And that way you don't have to worry about chasing down a check, 20 minutes after you've made your return because we're about to close.
Yeah, and for my unit, now last year I was not actually, so I was popcorn kernel 2 years ago. Last year I wasn't technically popcorn kernel, and then I took it back over again this year. I actually called my treasurer that day and said, hey, can you come with me for returns and let's see how much it weighs. So we, she came, I was here anyways, but she just came down when she could and we did the payment back. So that's another option, is if your treasurer can come out with you. Super long, right? Good news, scouts can sell their excess inventory or continue to sell online through November 29th. This goes towards prizes. So you'll already have paid your invoice, but if you've got product, keep selling it and take that money. And I mean, I'll tell you, in my neighborhood, so my scout is in Bayside, but I actually live in Kempsville. And there was little red wagon sales going on through December. So there was a kid coming up and down our street with little red wagon.
That sells a lot of popcorn. That sells a lot of popcorn.
It does.
It does, a lot.
It does.
My kids had scooters, electric scooters, and when we ran out of product, one would go home and grab it and then scoot across. It was fun. We had a great time doing it.
So the fall of 2020, in the pack that my son previously came from, I would tell you that we had two sellers, two scouts, like cubbies, and one was very young, that did over $2,500 in popcorn just doing little red wagon sales. Literally went door to door. The parents handpicked the neighborhood they wanted to go to. It wasn't just any neighborhood off the street. They actually picked a rather affluent neighborhood that was actually near another unit who wasn't selling. And they went door to door in that.
Football Fridays are really great too, for the weekend, before a football game, they'll buy for that. So let me clarify. So if I want to sell in November, I have to pay my invoice and keep other popcorn, but I can't return that, right?
Correct.
So my unit has bought that product. Okay,
It is yours.
it's yours.
It is not coming back after November 1st. There are no gift backsies. Yes.
Are we doing that in lieu of the bonus sale?
Yeah, one of the things that we looked at with that, we were hopeful that with Black Friday, that some of the units that hit those benchmarks would get in on it. We had 24 units in council qualified for it. We had about 10 selling because there was a gap between that last order and when popcorn came in and the parents checked out. We made $20,000 in sales that whole November, and honestly, Allison and I were exhausted with that month.
So since there is no bonus sale, would we be then able to, with that popcorn that we bought, still do our own show and sales?
Yeah.
Is there anything against that?
No. No,
Yeah.
and in fact, some of those scouts that are coming in late, and they need membership, money to pay for their dues and whatever, I encourage that. But after November 1st, nothing's coming back to council.
Yeah,
Okay.
the only limitation is probably around March or so, your popcorn is gonna pass its best by date. But keep selling it until it expires or you're out of it.
Yeah, I will say that I know that there is a unit that sells in November at Five Below, and they do phenomenal. So they hold product aside until November to sell at Five Below right around, that Black Friday, like right before the Christmas season gets in.
We had a fun thing, I gotta share this. We had Rudy versus Tony on a Black Friday, right? Because 2 years ago, yeah.
Forces selling.
Well, we had a lot of returns, and so these guys stepped up and they went out, and I said, let's have a competition. And they're very competitive with one another. But wouldn't you say, I'm not saying who won.
We're both retired, don't worry.
I'm not saying Tony won, but anyway, did I say that out loud? Oh my gosh, okay. But what did you guys do on that weekend? Black Friday weekend, and you sold where?
So 2 years ago, because it was COVID and we were forced to sell, I was able to get units at multiple flows that were open. I think across that weekend, we did about 9,000. The two spots.
Okay, and you did Dick's,
We did Dick's, yeah.
and you
And I
did,
think we got like up around $2,000 or something that.
But
yeah,
you
I
did it
don't
just on
remember.
that one day. That
It was
was
we
just
did
for the
That's
one
how he beat me
day,
that
one
day.
day with a certain time frame, and that was like how we declared the winner. because
He got
we did
lucky.
two units.
I had the whole weekend.
Oh, whatever. Okay, but anyway, so it was fun, and Black Fridays are really great if you guys want to buy the popcorn and do it on your own. A lot of the places will allow you to do it, but you got to coordinate with the store manager or store operation manager.
You guys are braver than me. I don't want to be anywhere near a store after Black Friday.
Well, I mean, and one of the other things too is, like mint chocolate chip, one of the parents was like, oh, that'll be great for Scrooge balls. I was like, I've never heard of Scrooge balls, but apparently it's like popcorn balls, but you make it out of mint.
I need to sample that. Just saying.
Yeah, she told me that. She said, oh, that'll be great for Scrooge balls.
Okay, cool.
If scouts got sell on that Black Friday weekend, they wouldn't be eligible for any prizes other than what the pack or the treat.
December
No, you can
5th
still
is
turn
prize
those in.
deadline.
It still counts towards prizes.
Oh,
Prizes
Yeah,
at the end
December
of
5th.
one
December
or
5th.
December 5th.
Do
Oh, okay.
not go ahead and close out your Scouts account prematurely, okay? Because they may hit those winner circle, and we want to make sure that they get what they've earned, so.
You'll also have a lot of late winners that will take a long time to do that time.
Yeah, and reward them, like as they hit certain levels, please go ahead and put them in so we can get those prizes pulled, and make sure that your unit's paid up so we can give you those prizes. But reward, quickly because that helps the motivation, that helps the parents.
Yeah, I mean, we did it every time we got an order, with the cubbies, we do prizes, yay! And then we did it during our pack meeting, our monthly pack meeting. And they loved that. They got all excited about getting their prizes at the pack meeting. We just had to do it at the very end because nonprofits are very not good for pack
So,
meeting.
one more thing while we're on it. Rough poll, how many units are you thinking about selling? Mike, consider doing it. Okay. Interesting question, because I just got it from somebody in my district over where I'm at. They asked how we're going to control the lows after 1 November. What I plan to do is continue to manage the western West Chesapeake lows. But it'll be just on who else still wants to sell at that time, because it's not gonna be as many units. I'm recommending, do we wanna do that? The kernels for the other lows that have the signups?
I think that would make.
Get a
sense.
hold of your district colonels.
Yeah.
So,
And we may have ideas of other locations too, we can opinion on, so.
yeah, Caroline, for some reason, really good for Black Friday sales. Really good for a lot of sales, actually, in the very beginning of the
So,
Party City's right, really good right before home.
If you're planning to do that, then make sure you've got your parents buy-in and you've got some money to pay for that popcorn up front.
For sure. I will say, you know, we just talked about the post sale last year. I'm a district colonel, right? So I should have a lot of buy-in from my parents. That bonus sale that we did last year, my parents were totally done. They were like, because I mean, what happened was the person who took it over wasn't doing much in the beginning, so I kind of pushed in and said, okay, we're gonna sell. And we, you know, in September, we really, in early October, we really hooked it, and that break was just enough that I ended up selling.
I do want to mention one more thing. So when you guys are out doing your show and sells at your different locations, you will have, how many of you guys have had somebody come up to you and say, how do I join Scouts? Where's your unit? Oh, all right, a lot. Okay. So on the front of your order form, there's a QR code that goes to be a Scout. Okay. I recommend that you have information on your unit there, a card. You recruit them for your unit. If you do not, okay, do the QR code, brings them to be a Scout, you put in your zip code, okay? They put in their zip code where they're at and they can see a map and they can hone into a pack or a troop that way. So we just got that put on for you guys, make it a little bit easier.
But certainly if you have a unit calendar, you can tell them about, you know, our next meeting's on Tuesday and we're doing our Pinewood Derby or whatever the case may be. The more information you can give them about the fun stuff your kids are doing, the more likely they'll want to join you.
so can I say something real quick? I just want to make sure everybody's clear, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but for the last 10 minutes, it was still seeming to be a little bit of confusion. Look at the dates, right? November 1st is the final sale date, or the final order date. You can't buy any more after that. But online sales go November 29th. So what do I do for the rest of the month? Well, the whole point is if you have show and sells that you want to set up in November, you got to order that stuff November 1st and pay for it ahead of time. Okay, I want to make sure everybody understands that. You can sell in November, even though the last order date is November 1st.
Well, November 1st, they won't get until the 16th.
Yeah, that,
Right, but you won't get it until mid-November, but you can still sell, and maybe being Veterans Day, Black Friday, like we talked about, okay? And then your prizes are due December 5th. So don't submit your prizes until after November 29th, when all the sales are over. Okay, but the bottom line is, if you have sales you want to do in November, plan for that and buy that November 1st. Make sense? Because I know you had a question about it. It was kind of clear as mud there. Just make sure everybody online is clear
selling
with
at
that
the
too.
beginning of November, you might want to hit that third order and make sure you have some extra popcorn for the beginning of the month. And I don't know if this was said or not, and I apologize if I might have missed this, but make sure you check with your parents before you place your orders or order forms. I had one unit place an order and they went ahead and got, all of a sudden their parents brought in all their order forms and it was like almost exactly what they ordered. They had no product for show and sells. So make sure that before your district or your unit colonel places the order, you give your parents a due date. Hey, by this date, which is maybe a week before you place the order, I need all the information as far as what needs to be brought, because you don't want to be taken from your show and sell. And you don't want the parents to have to tell the customer, hey, yeah, I screwed up. We need to wait 3 weeks to get it to you. So just make sure you reach out to your parents. Did you say that already? No. Okay.
Rudy, did you have something?
oh, no, I was just gonna, Pam kind of caught on it, like, if you're planning to show and sells between like, I think last year, if you ordered on the 1st of November, your stuff didn't come until the 17th.
Mhm.
So if you're planning to do show and sells past November 1st, but before like Veterans Day, you're gonna need to get it on that third order. So
Yeah.
this is where late September, wherever that third order is, you need to already figure out how your sales are doing, how much you have in reserve, and get the parents' commitment and order it then. And it feels like a long time holding on to it, but that's how to do it there. So we did that last year because I didn't know how much was gonna be left for the bonus sale. So my unit's committed to just buy it on hand, and then we sold it in November.
All right, and district winners will be notified on or before December 16th for that big grand prize, the Oculus Quest.
Woo! For each district.
Yes. Communicate, communicate, communicate. This I've said many times, so this is not new. Please talk to us. We want to hear from you. If you have problems, talk to us. I had a unit last year who contacted me from actually the Norfolk side of Bayside. And he said, you know, I really want to get into the schools and do recruitment. I know that sounds like a really strange thing to bring to your popcorn kernel. But I used to be a teacher at Lake Taylor Middle School in my previous life. And so I contacted the administration over at Lake Taylor Middle School and said, hey, I've got somebody who wants to get in and do some recruitment. Can they come to the open house? Because it was in person in Norfolk, it wasn't in Virginia Beach. And they let him go set up a table. So then I passed off that information to him. I said, this is who I spoke with. This is their information. I don't know if they followed up with it, but I said, here, now you can do your recruitment. They were asking, they actually contacted me initially to ask about locations and what was allowed and what wasn't allowed. That's okay, ask us. If we don't know, we'll ask Pam and Nelson. But, you know, please, again, communicate, communicate, communicate. You're having problems, you're not getting buy-in. There's lots of ways to skin a cat, but we need to know what's going on. All right, and we did this earlier. This was the slide I was talking about earlier that Pam was like, let's introduce us. So let's go through the roster again, just so everybody knows who everybody is. I am Erin Alford. I am the Virginia Beach side of Bayside.
I'm Tony, I'm Princess Anne.
Rudy Nemo, I'm like the western branch, Deep Creek side of Three Rivers.
Krista Dunn, the Norfolk side of Bayside.
Woo!
I'm Beth, and I have like the northern side of Deep Creek and then Battlefield area.
Okay, and then we do have Albemarle as well.
Brenda is on Zoom.
Oh, Brenda's on Zoom. Hi, Brenda. And then, of course, we have the amazing Pam and Allison. Pam is our leader in chief. And Allison is our go-to, solves every problem we ever had or thought of. All right, cool. Does anybody have any questions?
We still have them.
I wore them the other day to my popcorn meeting.
Andrew made them.
What software tools do you guys recommend to keep track of inventory? Who sold what?
So I will say that most people have some sort of an Excel spreadsheet. And we have, if you search on the popcorn kernels page for Bayside, several people have posted theirs, including Tony. So there are tons of resources for it. For my unit, I use an Excel spreadsheet for the weekly sales because I total it into the treasurer weekly. Then I have a checkout form that I put together that goes, so if somebody wants to do the Little Red Wagon sales, they check out what product they want, they can keep it for 1 week. And when they come back, then they fill it out saying what they're checking back in. And then we do receipts for the other sales, and then that goes on that weekly Excel spreadsheet. But they are on the popcorn kernels page on Facebook. Do you have Facebook? Okay, if you look up popcorn tracker or something like that, there is stuff
So
there.
there's still no common tool. I did a couple years ago. There's still no common tool that everybody can use.
There
And
was,
that's how I did it. I did an Excel thing. I found an Excel thing that was like 20 pages, 20 different sheets or something. I mean, it was pretty convoluted. It worked, but there's no common tool that everyone uses.
so Pactaconic, I've had a popcorn tracker.
Yeah, it's an app, right?
Yeah, and I will say the one thing with it is it didn't really, it helped with inventory, but it didn't have any, yeah,
Any financial stuff.
yeah, so it wasn't, yeah.
So last year it was web-based and it was linked, but there were still some hiccups with it. They've told us they're doing updates to it this year, but we haven't seen yet what those are.
Blows my mind. DSA, popcorn disorder.
Another hack is I use a Girl Scout. Just go to Girl Scout cookie tracker, you'll find about 1 billion that all work.
If you use Square, you can load it all. with-
Right, but then you gotta, it's a matter of keeping track of what each gets. You know, all those different things, and what inventory you got, all those different things you got to keep track of.
You can use Square and you can actually give each family their own like logins, they can log in, log out. But then you're not a kernel anymore.
Well, and I will say, one of the problems that we've had with, yeah, one of the problems, because we did that a few years ago at the pack level. And one of the problems that I've had with the Square, specifically with Android phones, and I'm not down talking Android phones. But if you're going in to do a show and tell, it takes you to the last location. So our less technically friendly parents were putting the wrong sales into the wrong location, and then they were tabulating things wrong, and then we were going in and having to fix it. So we stopped doing the Square thing because, I mean, I literally spent a Saturday night at a grandfather's house trying to figure out what the heck he did. So I was like, we're done with that. That was just me. I was, no, but it was an Android thing. For whatever reason, it automatically logged you into the last site you were in. And when he tabulated everything, it was showing the wrong dates, the wrong times. And then I had the same sites every week. And so it doubled the what was sold on that one site. And that became a problem. So, yeah.
Surprised it hasn't come up sooner. We didn't mention the last training, but did anybody have any surprises with 1099s this year and Square or any other third party payment app?
I didn't know that.
So I learned a couple years ago.
I didn't get that mail.
Yes, I learned a couple years ago, and if you want to follow up with me offline, if you don't set up the Square or PayPal a certain way, the IRS rules will bite you. Completely ridiculous, but you got to do certain things in order to make Square work so that the right people get the right tax document, i.e. your charter organization. Hopefully it's a church, it's a nonprofit, it's not going to pay taxes. Because if it's not right, they will send it to whoever set up the Square account. Some cases it's you, some cases it's to the treasurer who set it up 6 years ago, he's now in Alaska. And he just got a 1099 for $16,000. Yeah, that was fun.
So, yeah, I mean, you want to make sure that all those things are good to go. Also, on that note with the Square, make sure before your first show and sales, now, first of all, whether it's a Square, whatever you feel like using, one, make sure that your products, the product line is correct in there before your first show and sales. Make sure the prices are correct in there. We've had some price changes and some product changes. You would hate for somebody to go to a show and sale and they don't know what they're doing to begin with. And then they go in there and now they're only charging, you know, they sell a chocolate lovers that's 55 instead of 50 and they're only charging 50, right? You don't want that. You don't want your unit to have to eat that. So do that in advance. For us, my favorite ex-husband always gets thrown into popcorn. He and I work really well together, but he's also very technologically savvy. So we actually put together a Square user's guide that we put in our money boxes. So if anybody had a question or a problem, there was a color guide for the parents in the money box that they could look through if they were confused on how to do it. But do that before you start selling, like now, please. So last but not least, everybody wants to go home because are we excited about popcorn?
Yeah.
I can't hear you. Woo! All right. Last thing before you go, if you have any questions, feel free to talk to us. But we need to know what you think. So over there, we haven't labeled it, but we've got the jalapeno and the buffalo ranch. We want you to try it and put a tally mark next to your favorite ones. So we can get some feedback as to what we like. I personally like buffalo ranch a little bit better, but I'm not that spicy. I'm just laughing at nothing.